But no sooner had the ink dried on the 20 million acre purchase, the Revolutionary War ignited at Concord and Lexington on April 19, 1775. And even though it began in the wealthy northeastern colonies, its effects were felt on the frontiers.
Moses Fisk. Affairs continued prosperous till the commencement of the Revolutionary War. Alexander Cameron sent the Watauguns letters with promises of protection in case of their loyalty to the British, but they unanimously resolved to participate in the struggle for independence. As soon as Cameron ascertained this determination, a sudden incursion was devised, attacking the settlement by surprise on all quarters.
About 2 days after my arrival in West Florida, with ammunition to supply the Cherokee and Creek nations, I was informed of the arrival of Chinkanasina, or the dragging canoe, a leader of the Cherokee. His business was to inquire into the cause of the present quarrel of the provinces with Great Britain. Henry Stewart, Deputy Superintendent of Indian Affairs for the Southern District.
The Cherokee are almost surrounded by white people. Our nation has but a small spot of ground left to stand upon. It seems the intention of the whites is to destroy us from being a people. Dragging canoe.
And so began the loss of peace and friendship with the Cherokee. And once again, the British were behind the call to arms. Thankfully, the settlers had a friend in Nancy Ward, beloved woman of the Cherokee. She overheard the Cherokee plans to invade and sent warnings to the settlers. The intelligence which the inhabitants of Holston received was that 700 Indians had divided into two parties, one to fall on the settlement of Watauga by way of the mountains, the other, commanded by Dragging Canoe, to break up the settlements in and above the fork and proceed northwardly into Virginia. James Robertson saw the danger first.
Felix Robertson. My father had a large stock of horses about 4 miles from his home. One morning, he heard a noise in the river and discovered several canoes full of Indians. On his return, he discovered many signs of Indians. Confident that a large number were in the country, he hastened for the nearest fort, alarming settlers along the way. Tracks of about 100 Indians coming right along the path toward our fort. We are sure they will attack in the morning. We are in good spirits. We hope to give them a warm reception and keep them out until assistance arrives.
On the same day the battle was fought at Long Island Flats, Cherokees attacked the fort at Watauga, in which were James Robertson, John Sevier, and others. They made the attack at sunrise and were repulsed with some loss. From that time they skulked around the fort for 3 weeks, till a party from Virginia came to the relief of the garrison and found the inhabitants secure in their fort, the Indians having retreated. John Haywood, 1823.
Pennsylvania Packet. August 17th, 1776. On Colonel Russell of Fincastle County approaching the Watauga Fort with the men under his command, the Indians retired precipitately, having 1 killed and 2 wounded by a party that pursued them. The fort was relieved after a fortnight's close siege, during the greater part of which our people lived on parched corn. There were supposed to be 500 women and children in this little fort. Except for 4 or 5 who ventured out to drive in some cows, we lost not a man. These were found scalped.
With the onset of the American Revolution, most native nations aligned with the British, longtime trading partners who supplied the goods essential to sustaining their established way of life. The war changed everyone.
Nothing will reduce the Indians so soon as pushing the war into the heart of their country. I would never cease pursuing them while one remained on this side of the Mississippi. Thomas Jefferson, August 5, 1776.
The frontier had crossed a line. Survival now meant offense. It was locked in a cycle of raids and retaliation. Hunters were killed, horses stolen, and trust collapsed on both sides.
Felix Robertson. For 4 or 5 months, the Indians were killing the hunters and stealing horses. My father and John Sevier often went out with the men and killed a great many Indians.
When the Cherokee sent a flag of truce, James Robertson agreed to meet, hoping the violence could still be stopped.
They expressed a great desire for peace, and my father went to treat with them. After many days of counsel, it appeared nothing could be done. The men grew discouraged and left, until none remained but my father and one other.
As night fell, the council reached a decision.
Just before sundown, he was seized and placed in prison.
That decision was death.
After some hours, an Indian woman, the wife of a half-breed, came secretly and told him the council had determined he should be shot. She opened the door and sent him away. By her kindness, his horse was ready. He mounted, plunged down a precipice into the river, and as he gained the far bank, the war whoop rose behind him. He heard them close behind him until he had gone several miles. Avoiding the common road, he did not reach home until the third day, without food or sleep. His wife was in great anxiety and alarm, he having been detained longer than expected.
By the autumn of 1776, frontier violence had hardened into open war. In response, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina launched coordinated campaigns against the Cherokee Nation. Virginia militia under Colonel William Christian crossed the French Broad and Tennessee rivers, advancing into the overhill towns. Once again, future leaders would share the stage. John Donaldson was recruited to lead a company of men from Virginia. James Robertson had command of a company of about 80 men, and John Sevier led a company. Expecting battle, they instead found villages abandoned, families having fled into the mountains and downriver to protect women and children.
Colonel William Christian. I moved through the towns and met with no opposition. The Indians had run off hastily, carrying away their clothes and the best of their goods, but leaving behind their corn. I believe the old warriors and all the women in the nation were averse to the war. Dragging Canoe was the principal agent in hastening the war. I am now destroying his towns, and I intend to destroy some other of the towns that was under his influence, particularly a town in which a man taken at Watauga was burned.
At the same time, North Carolina militia under Griffith Rutherford, joined by South Carolina forces, devastated the middle and valley towns, leaving much of the Cherokee Nation unable to sustain itself through the winter.